Hi and welcome to the video. This is going to be the first in a series of 3 videos that I'm going to be making on the Heng Long Atlantic Yacht. This first one I'm going to be focusing on the unboxing and looking at the boat in stock form. In the second video I'm going to be upgrading it using Spectrum hobby grade radio gear and speed controllers from M-Tronics, and trying to make this more into a hobby grade boat. And in the third video what I'll be doing is taking it out onto the local lake and giving it a run and seeing how it goes. Right, so let's get on with this first part. So comes in a nice box. The boat itself cost about £40 from eBay. The postage I believe was free. It arrived yesterday. Comes in a nice sturdy box. I'll just flip it round. It says here that it's 3-channel radio control. It's got 2 propellers at the back and it uses those propellers for steering. It does have a kind of rudder at the back, but that's more of a trim tab to line the thing up and keep it straight. Right, let's get it out and have a quick look. So in the inner package we have a foam piece here which holds everything quite securely. That kind of means that when I've finished with this boat for the time being, it will be going back in this container and it'll be going up into the loft. We've got the boat itself. Underneath here, something which I think is really useful. It comes with a boat stand, which, if I can get it out of the packet, which I'm going to be putting together before the boat even comes out of the packaging. We have a transmitter that looks as if it needs to have the knobs screwed onto it. We have left and right. We have backwards and forwards. I think that this is going to be a 2-channel unit. I'm not too bothered because I'm not really going to be using it. We have an 8.4 volt charger. Again, I'm probably not really going to be using this because I wouldn't normally charge any of my nickel metal hydride batteries using this kind of charger. However, if I was away on holiday or something like that, this could be useful. We have an 8.4 7-cell nickel metal hydride 2000 milliamp hour battery. I think that I'm probably going to stick with that for this boat, although I don't think that the Tamiya plugs can stay on here very long. I expect I'll be using Dean's. It does actually come with an aerial which will go on there. I'm going to be using 2.4 gigahertz, but if I like the look of that aerial, it might just stay on anyway. There seems to be a little bag of parts at the back here. I will get that out. We'll have a quick look to see what's in there. Right. We have 2 spare props. That is really good news because it's perfectly possible to actually lose one of these props and then you have to get a spare one. However, I have checked it out and spare parts for this boat seem to be relatively readily available. I think that the places that I found are probably in China or Hong Kong, but they are available and propellers are very, very cheap, so that's good. Here we have the parts for the controller, and they will just push in. Again, I'm not really that worried about that because I won't be using this, but just so you can see what comes with it. For some reason here what we have is we have a little aerial which will plug into the top back of the boat. Another little realistic piece. I think that's quite nice. And we have we have the other controller knob. So this one here is going to be, I'm imagining, forward slow, forward fast, and then we have these two here for the steering. But essentially what it does is it just turns one motor on and one motor off. We'll be seeing how that works in a minute. So the first thing to do is to put together the boat stand. The boat isn't coming out until there's a stand to go on, which is actually going to be really good for working on it. These two pieces here seem to be identical to each other, so I'll just go ahead and slot those on. One, two, three, four. I quite like the little touch here of having the Heng Long badge, if you can see that. Right, let's get the boat out. This should come out fairly easily. Which it does. Seems to be some clear tape just to protect the boat in transit. Peel that off. The stand with these two pieces being the same means that it'll go the same either way around. And that seems to sit happily there. In the box, you've got the aerial for the transmitter. 27 megahertz by the looks of things. Just pop that down. That's going to require 8 AA batteries, which I'll pop in a second. This battery I have held on charge, so what we can do is we can have a quick look just to see how it runs in stock form and go from there. Right, we're going to get on to the more interesting parts now. So this clip here, and I'll just zoom in quick so you can see what I'm doing, is all that you need to do in order to get the top off the boat. And that lifts. This piece here comes through the hole, and you just slide it slightly back, and you'll see that there are a couple of hooks at the front here which locate onto the front here and here. Okay, I'm just going to adjust the light slightly so that we can see what's going on inside. So what we've got is we've got two 380 motors here. You should be able to see those, and they've each got a kind of heat sink on them to keep them cool. At the very back, what we've got here is we've got two clips, one at the front here that you can actually see, and one at the back that will hold the battery. That's actually quite nice. And then all of the electronics are sitting in this box here, and here's the Tamiya plug for the battery. So I'll stop rattling around. So I'll just go ahead and I'll put the battery in, and that just clips. Right, that's held quite nicely and firmly in place. That's certainly not going anywhere. And then just a matter of plugging the two together. There's an on-off switch at the top here. It doesn't seem to be doing anything right now, so I'll bring the transmitter across. Now, one thing worth noting about this is that when I tried to put my rechargeable batteries in, they would not fit, so I had to pop down to the shops and get myself some standard AA batteries, and they fit fine. So I'll just turn this on, turn the boat on, let's see if anything happens. It certainly does. Right, the first thing that tells me is that it only goes at one speed, and then you've got the left and the right, and that will turn one motor on or one motor off. So if I push it forward and do the steering, right. That was a useful, if not rather loud, experiment. So what we've got is we've got motors which are only operating at full speed, and it is either both motors or one motor. They only go forwards. I'll just check that. Nothing happens when you press reverse. It's kind of what I expected, and it's really the point of this modification. So as I said in other videos, when I don't like the radio control or the speed controllers in a model, it certainly makes me feel a lot less bad about throwing them away, to be quite honest. So excellent. Right, now the final act of this control system is going to be to tell me what voltage is going through these motors, because I'm going to want to make sure that when I put the upgraded radio in, it's not going to exceed that voltage. So with this voltmeter here, which you may be able to see, let me just zoom in on it. Let's see what the voltage is. So I'll put the probes in on the motor, and right, that tells me everything that I need to know. So it's about 8.5 volts, 8.4 volt battery in there. So basically what that's telling me is it's telling me that each of the motors is getting the full voltage from this battery, which means that when I put the new speed controllers in, I don't need to moderate the voltage which is coming out of them, and so that is actually quite good news. Right, I think that is probably it for this first part of the 3 series of videos. In the next part, I'm going to be taking some things to bits, and I'm going to be fitting these two Emtronic speed controllers, which for information are the Marine Viper 15 amp. I'm going to be using this little 2-channel Spectrum receiver. I'm only going to need 2 channels, and I'm going to be using this car transmitter, which is the DX4S. The reason why I've decided that I'm going to use a car transmitter is, first of all, it's quite likely anybody wanting to make this modification is going to have car transmitters lying around, perhaps, rather than aeroplane ones, and we don't need 6 or 8 channels. And the other thing that I like about this is that, unlike a stick transmitter, I can actually drive something with just one hand. So I can use my thumb on the steering wheel for steering, and then I can use the throttle here. In order to make this effective with a twin motor setup like this, I'm going to have to do some mixing in the transmitter, a bit like a tank, but I'll be showing you all of that in the next video. I think that, in conclusion to this, I'm pretty impressed with the build quality. This is a nice ABS model boat. It looks nice, the hull looks like a good shape. I've seen other videos of them running and they look really good. If I'm going to use this on the local lake, I'm not going to want the thing going full speed all of the time. I'm very likely to get complaints from people. It's not nice for the ducks, etc. And actually, to be quite honest, I quite like a slow running boat, much more controllable. A boat which has got reverse is a boat which can reverse itself out of trouble. I know that in its stock form it can turn pretty tightly on the spot, but it can only do that at full speed. So I think that this is going to be a worthy kind of conversion, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.